Where is Teekah Lewis? She was playing in the arcade at the New Frontier bowling alley in Tacoma when she vanished. The bowling alley was locked down and police arrived moments later, but she was never seen again. She was born on July 4th, 1996, is multiracial, having black, white, and Native American ancestry. She had asthma and eczema, which gave her a skin discoloration on her face and left side of her buttocks. Both of her ears are pierced. She was described as being a very loving and shy child. She clung to her mother and didn't like being picked up by unfamiliar people, even acquaintances. She had brown eyes to match her dark hair, which was curly with red and gray natural highlights. On a Sunday night, January 23rd, 1999, Teekah and her family were enjoying a rare evening out at the bowling alley. There were nearly a dozen of Teekah's relatives gathered in the bowling alley that night. Her mother last saw her in the arcade at approximately 10:15 p.m. Family members were keeping an eye on her as well, switching off with her mother when one was pulled away. Different sources state different reasons as to why her mother turned away from Teekah, but within those few critical moments, Teekah disappeared. Over the next few days, Tacoma Police Department would be joined by members of the FBI as well as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who would help them canvass the neighborhood and conduct searches near the area. They searched the nearby woods, using a helicopter with infrared devices to look for heat signatures. Police questioned registered sex offenders in the area and checked the background of the bowling alley's employees, but came up empty-handed. 3 days after Teekah's disappearance, search dogs would lead investigators to a bushy area across the street from the bowling alley. Police discovered a pile of men's clothing which had been thrown into a ball and stashed under a bush. Due to the lack of mold on the clothes, which is common for clothing left outside in the wet state of Washington, it was determined that the clothes had not been there long. Early on in the investigation, detectives cleared both of Teekah's parents and family of any suspicion. Her mother lacked the motive to carry out such a crime, and Teekah's father, Robert, was still incarcerated, therefore was ruled out as a suspect for custodial abduction. Okay, so there's a bit of a discrepancy here in my research from people who have reported on this case. They say that bowling alley was here, but a news story, which I'll insert, shows it over here at Home Depot.
Joyce, this Home Depot used to be that bowling alley, and that is where Teekah was seen almost 21 years ago at this time.
21 years after the night Teekah vanished, a man only identified as John came forward with some information. He was there that night with his family, 17 years old. He was on his way to the restrooms when a man rudely bumped into him and didn't apologize. So that stuck out in his mind. He remembers the man being white and the small child being mixed. And he remembers them because of the push was hard on his shoulder, and also his face had a lot of pockmarks. When he left the parking lot, he didn't think much more about it until he was leaving the parking lot and he saw a lot of police there, but none of the police approached him and asked him any questions. And a couple of days later, he saw on the news about Teekah. That's when he was interviewed, but then nothing came about that. 2 decades later, as a cold case investigator was looking into the case, Detective Stephen Riopel, he contacted John to talk about it more. And again, it was about the heavily pockmarked face. His description he got from John is that man was 5'11" tall with a husky build, shoulder-length curly brown hair with a thick mustache. But most significantly, the skin, the pock-marked face. And that is also significant because Teekah's mother remembers seeing him too. So he is a prime suspect right now. And until that time that he is found for questioning, her mother will hold a vigil at that location until she knows what happened to her daughter.